Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Sue Mim from Heart Connection Dogs. My guess is that you're here today because you or somebody you know has a sound sensitive dog. And this time of the year can be especially challenging as we move into the fireworks season. A few weeks before Christmas already, you can start to hear the bangs and the whistles going off at unexpected times and places. And this really causes our dog's nervous system to go into overdrive, often resulting in hypervigilance and a constant state of stress. And we too also feel stressful. Sometimes we feel guilty about not being able to support our dogs or not being able to ease their discomfort during this time. So this was the aim of my interview today with three incredible women, all experts in the field of holistic wellness and emotional support for animals and their people. And I really wanted to help you to become empowered this year with some ideas and some tools that can really support you and your dog during this time. We had an amazing discussion, and some of the things we covered were how to harness the energy and the healing power of plants and herbs. We looked at techniques such as breathing and EFT, which can help us to feel more grounded, calm, and centered. And we had a great demonstration on the TTouch circles and how to use the TTouch Bandage Wraps, which are an easy and effective way to support our dogs as well. And one of the most important pieces that I hope you'll take away from this today is that you and your dogs are individuals and that you're also in this together. And we can play a really important role in supporting our dogs, even when they really are. It feels like they're inconsolable because they don't want to be touched or they can't settle. We really can still play a role. So it's really exciting stuff that we've got here for you today. And also another very important piece is to plan ahead. And that starts today. So having a plan makes us feel safe. And if we can use some of the things today that we can put together into a plan and put it into action, then I really think this is going to help you. And I would like to encourage you to please comment and ask questions. All of our speakers have been amazing. They said they will come in and answer the questions after, wherever this is posted. And they also I've also posted the contact details for links to their websites and how you can get hold of them. So if any of them resonate with you or their work resonates with you, please reach out to them. They all offer online consultations, and I know they would be thrilled to hear from you and to help you. So grab a cup of coffee or a tea, have a pen and paper handy so you can jot down some ideas. And let's put together a plan for you and everybody else. Anybody, please pass this information on to anybody who you think it might be helpful for. And I would just like to take this opportunity to wish you all a safer, calmer, and healthy festive season. And thank you so much for being here. All right, so good day, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome. My name is Sue Mim, and I have a small business in Austria called Heart Connection Dogs. And I'm really, really excited to be here today to introduce you to three incredible women who are passionate about what they do, passionate about helping people and their dogs to live amazing lives, to live balanced and holistic lives with their dogs. And our theme tonight is very dear to my heart, and it's one of fireworks phobias or noise phobias. So our lovely ladies are here to help you, to help all of us with amazing ideas and how we can support ourselves and our dogs through this period, and how we can make this a positive experience and turn that around. So without ado, I'm going to introduce you to our lovely ladies. We have Rachel Knott right up at the top left-hand corner. Down below that we have Kelley Livingston. And on the bottom right, we have Mandie Danks. I'm just trying to work out if this is left or right, or if it's switched around. So ladies, all of you, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this for me. Rachel, can we start with you? Rachel is from My Animal Matters, and she is passionate about Botanical Self-Healing for animals, which is a really interesting subject. Sounds awesome. So please, can you tell us a little bit about it, Rachel, and how we can use this to help our dogs?
Yeah, so botanical self-healing, it's got lots of different names. Some people might recognize it more as zoopharmacognosy, animal self-medication, but essentially it's about tapping into animals' innate ability to self-medicate on plant medicine. So they innately know what it is they need from plants, from the therapeutic properties to restore homeostasis. So come back to balance. So I basically bring the medicinal herbs, essential oils, hydrosols to the animal so they can then guide what it is they need, whether they need something to support their physical body, their emotional body, or their spiritual body. So it's a really empowering process for the animal. My cat's joining me, of course. It's a really empowering process for the animal because it gives them a voice. So it gives them the opportunity to express what it is they need to come back to peace. So yeah, and it one of the biggest things it helps with is stress.
Okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's different kinds of stress, as we know, Rachel. You know, sometimes dogs will show their stress by whining or barking and pacing, and other dogs may be more shut down. They may seek out a quieter place, etc. So would there be different botanicals that would help different forms of emotion or the different stages of stress?
Yes. So basically, the key to this methodology, this process, is it's individual. So every dog knows exactly what they need. So one dog that is stressed, that's maybe, I don't know, say their way of dealing with stress is licking their feet, they may go for Roman chamomile hydrosol. But another dog that has the exact same stress reaction may go for violet leaf or valerian. So it's less so about their stress levels, more so about which botanical they resonate with. So it's not that there's one size fits all. It's very much working with them and asking them, and then they can lead the way.
So it's really brilliant and so interesting. And that's obviously why you often hear people say, well, I've tried lavender oil for my dog and it didn't do anything. And the next person will say, lavender worked beautifully for my dog. So each is an individual. And as you say, the botanicals that resonate with them will speak to them and be more effective. So that's really exciting and brilliant.
Yeah, and the other beautiful thing about it is, of course, the reason we've all come together is because of fireworks. That's the catalyst for our learning.
Mm.
But actually, so there's always a catalyst for why I go and work with someone, or other practitioners go and work with a dog. But what the process of self-healing does, botanical self-healing, is it opens up a conversation. So you may go in because the dog is reactive to fireworks, but actually they're selecting botanicals that have analgesic properties. So then you're like, okay, so there's pain. So then they're selecting pain remedies. So then you may refer on to another holistic practitioner or the vet to support that. And then the issue may then go away because it was pointing at pain. So it's not that they have issues. It's just information for us to have a conversation with them and say, look, how can I support you?
Wow. So this is like a really different way of looking at it, you know, as opposed to going through a list and saying my dog needs X, Y, or Z, or these are botanicals, or these essential oils are good for X, Y, Z, and just using it on your dog. So Rachel, how would you offer that to your dog, or how would you apply it, or what is the process?
So the key is basically you're offering, you're not applying. I know it's just semantics, but I wanted to make that clear. So I just want to say this really clearly, you're not putting anything in their food. You're not applying anything topically, because a lot of people with essential oils, they think, oh, they sniffed it, they liked it, I'll rub it into their coat. That's not what we're doing. So dogs primarily, for example, with essential oils, work 90% via inhalation. That's the most powerful route. Similar with hydrosols, or they do drink them sometimes, and the herbs, they sometimes roll in them, they will sometimes eat them. So it depends what it is they're working with, but you simply, for example, an essential oil, so I've got a bottle of geranium here, you simply sit with the oil and allow the dog to guide their dose. So you're not putting it in a diffuser, you're not shoving it right under their nose, bearing in mind their sense of smell. Dogs is incredibly powerful. You don't even take the lid off sometimes, they can smell it. And plus it's energy as well, so you're working with the energetics of it. So sometimes I'll literally just have the bottle and not take the lid off, but other times I'll take the lid off and offer the lid, or I'll offer the oil. But it's very much about simply noticing how they're responding to it. I mean, it's a massive topic. I can't kind of go through all the signals now, and there is a section on my website. You can put a link in, I'm sure, on what signals to look for. But it really is a case of offering and then just observing and sit, because you kind of have to offer a couple really to work out that conversation. Because if you've never had that conversation with your dog before, it might be quite hard to know whether that's a yes or a no, because that's essentially what you're looking at.
Awesome. And I think one of the key things as well is that we don't want to just, let's say the dog is already in a stressed state, is already whining, pacing, or panting, or has gone to lie down or find a safe space. That's possibly not the best time to be offering, or is it? How would you do that?
Both, actually. So I would offer, so I see this as something that you can introduce to their daily lives. So some people choose to go running, some people choose yoga, some people like cooking, some people like journaling. It's, for me, it's another aspect of an animal's life that's so normal for them that if we introduce it to them on a daily basis, then we're helping them rebalance daily, as opposed to waiting till it's cataclysmic and things are really loud. So actually offering daily and just creating that, allowing space where you're saying, I'm here for you, I'm listening, what is it you need right now, can actually reduce their overall stress level so they don't get to that point. That said, some dogs are so deeply triggered and it's so deeply rooted, you have to work with that trauma as well. In which case I would potentially, if it is a really challenging dog, I would get in a practitioner to help support you with that. But you can absolutely use them in the moment. My Basset Cross, Bridget, used to be really fearful of fireworks. So I did both offering up to and during the fireworks themselves, and then after as well, because obviously it helps them relax afterwards. So there's many, you can work with it in lots of different ways. And sometimes you can offer during a session, and then they find that real inner calm, and then when fireworks go off again, they're like, I'm not bothered now, because you've almost changed the program, reprogrammed it.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I think, again, one other point that came up there, Rachel, which is so important, is if we can be ourselves and our dogs at a sort of a base state of relaxation before going into this whole process, and hence the reason why we want to urge everybody to start this now. Start introducing some kind of daily routine into your day where you're spending time doing these things with your dogs, which we're going to speak about tonight, so that when it comes time, you are already more relaxed and able to be more resilient to the kind of stressful situation that's going to happen closer to the time.
Yeah. And also, having been through this with my own dog, I recognize my part in it. So I recognize that I was bringing my stress to the table, even though I was consciously not wanting to. I was thinking, I don't want to be, I'm not bothered by fireworks, but I had underlying triggers. So when she would get stressed, I get stressed. So I had to work through my stuff with it too. And actually I had a profound shift with my own dog when I realized what was coming up for me. And so I worked with frankincense while fireworks were going off, and I was supporting my dog, and it literally cleared the issue, because I was carrying grief and guilt from not being able to help my previous dog in a different situation. So that kind of program, every time I saw my dog stressed, that was coming up for me. So yes, the botanicals would reduce her stress probably by about 70%, but it was still there a bit. But when I actually addressed it for myself and asked for help and was like, you know, what am I to learn from this? What do I need to clear? That's when actually we completely cleared the issue. And then the next year when fireworks went off and she's walking around the garden and they're going off around her, and I'm thinking, is she deaf? But she wasn't. She'd hear a crisp packet rustle. So I like fully know how we can also, the stuff for us to work on as well. So you're working as a unit.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's so powerful. And I really agree with that, because living with a dog who is highly sensitive, not just for noises, and he's generally a really sensitive dog. And when he gets really aroused, it's very difficult for me to find that center. I really have to be conscious about breathing and centering myself, because it's so easy that we can tap into their energy level and their frequency as much as it works the other way around as well. So it can be really difficult. And as you say, I think there's a strong part there, which hands up if we've had this, is guilt of not being able to help our dogs in that situation when they are feeling overwhelmed and totally stressed. We feel that, how can I help you? Damn it, I just want to help you. So yeah, that's such an important part. So I think.
But actually, what they're doing is they're helping us as well. So in that situation, Bridget was helping me clear my stuff.
Yeah, brilliant.
So so it was a release for both of us. Yeah, so that's it. It's a partnership. Like you're kind of co-creating that together, aren't you? And you're working through it together. So you kind of, I think as women particularly, we tend to take that on, like we wear the cloak of responsibility to make everything better, but actually we're all in it together, we're all supporting each other. So the dogs absolutely can help us. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
So many tools to help.
And just being, as you say, just being able to recognize that discomfort and saying, how can we work through this as a partnership together? See what we can do for each other. Brilliant. Love that. Thank you, Rachel. That was absolutely awesome. I'm going to move on to Kelley now, Kelley Livingston. Kelley's speciality, she is a Tellington TTouch practitioner. Some of you may have heard of Tellington TTouch. Some of you may even use Tellington TTouch. But Kelley's going to be really awesome in that she's actually going to do a demonstration for us today. So she's going to be showing us how to do some of the Tellington TTouch. Well, Kelley, first, if you could start off just telling us a little bit, what is Tellington TTouch? How does it work? And then perhaps if you can give us your demonstration, that would be absolutely awesome.
Okay. So I was listening to Rachel and thinking that TTouch is really all about balance. I mean, it's about creating physical balance, which in turn creates emotional balance and mental balance. And so a lot of the things we do in TTouch are about finding that physical balance. And we work with the nervous system, whereas a lot of people look at it and think we're working with the muscular system because it's touch. Some of it is touch, but primarily we're working with the nervous system. And I was also thinking when Rachel was talking about the potential for the self-selection to I forget what the way she put that, but kind of rewire something, and maybe the next time they don't have it. And it's a common, TTouch has the same thing where we're using non-habitual touch and non-habitual movement, which can release the tension patterns in the body and therefore create a completely different response the next time around. And for that reason, we really like to start something like this really early. And you mentioned that. So we want to start that early so that we're introducing this non-habitual touch, but also it's cumulative. So you're looking for tiny little responses, and hopefully you're going to build those up over time. And by the time the event happens, they should be responding a little differently to it. And sometimes you see a little bit of difference, and sometimes a lot. But by the following year, you may definitely see, what Rachel experienced with her dog.
So Kelley, if I could just ask you, what is the difference between, for our viewers, what is the difference between massage or stroking your dog and a touch, a TTouch? What is the difference?
Well, TTouch is very light touch. You're just moving the tissue. You're just moving the tissue over the top of under the muscles and the bones underneath. And you're working with the nervous system. You're not trying to work a muscle out. You're putting sensory information into the nervous system. And a lot of people call it drip feeding the nervous system. And that's why it's cumulative, because you're just giving a little information and the body might go, that feels different. That's interesting. Let me just stop for just a second. It might cause a momentary pause and some sort of, just to get the attention. Not necessarily conscious attention, but the nervous system's attention. And it might cause a little bit different response, and then you build on that. As opposed to trying to work a knot out of a muscle or a tightness out of a muscle. Tension patterns, they can be physical, but they can also be mental and emotional. And so you're just touching, you're doing something with the body in a different way so that it recognizes it in a different way, and it has the potential to shift.
So for me, it would be like, as you say, it's kind of getting your attention. So instead of doing a normal habitual way of reacting or doing or moving, suddenly it brings your attention to your present being, your body, where you are right now, and kind of gives you the opportunity to do something different, or to think something different, or feel something different.
Right. But it's not necessarily a thinking, it's not a thinking process. It's just, it's similar to, we use the word proprioception a lot, your awareness of where your body is in space, and dogs don't have a great idea of where their back end is a lot. And so, a touch there, or we use body wraps with ACE bandages, anything that's a little bit different may trigger, I don't have to do it like that. Maybe I can put that foot down when I couldn't before. Maybe I can not have to favor one leg over the other.
Yeah, so releasing old muscle.
Yes.
So Kelley,
like cellular memory.
So how would this now help, for instance, a dog that's really fearful or really sensitive, noise sensitive, or phobic?
Because you're changing the old pattern, it has the potential to change the pattern that the pattern of reacting to the sound, or the pattern of becoming the buildup. And also, I also like to have a lot of emphasis on the human component, because the more we, some dogs, my dog included, does not really want to be, when he's stressed, he doesn't want me to touch him. And so my response to that would be to sit near him, as near as he's comfortable with me sitting, or to just be near him and do the TTouch on myself.
Oh, wow.
And to watch my own breathing. And so that's one way. And I might have to think about that one for a minute.
Yeah, no, because I was just thinking, would you do it, for instance, in the moment to calm your dog? Is it a calming touch,
on the
just
dog.
like any other touch, or is it not meant for that, or is it meant for that?
It is meant for that, but it also very much depends on the dog. The dog that I had, who was sound sensitive, she loved touch, and she was fine with the touch when things were going on, but she was also she would pace. And so she would get up, even though she wanted the touch, and she would calm for a few minutes. And then something, a loud boom would go, and then she would get up and pace. And so there's a way to deal with that. And the way we would deal with that is to, whenever she comes by me, I might do one little touch and let her go. Or there's other ways. I might set up a little bit of ACE-free work for her to do, and then try to do a little touch to give her some movement, because some dogs need to be moving and they can experience the touch better if they're doing that. Or I might set up obstacles or groundwork and do the touches in the middle of that.
Yeah, so I think that's an important point there as well, Kelley, that we respect our dogs for what they feel right with in the moment.
Right.
So it's not a case of come here and sit down and lie down, I need to do these TTouches on you. We need to respect the dog if they're not feeling comfortable with that touch right in the moment. But it's wonderful to hear that there's another option, like you said, that you can actually do the TTouches on yourself in the moment.
Exactly.
With the intention of supporting your dog.
Which is, if I had a very shut down dog, that's exactly, I wouldn't try to touch the dog at all. But it's amazing. You know, I have a lot of experience with that because my dog, you were talking about when, you know, the powerlessness we feel when our dogs are so anxious, and my dog spins around my feet. He does figure eights through my legs and under my feet, and he's not small. And it is so hard to maintain composure for myself because I'm trying to fumbling with the leash or fumbling with trying to get my shoes on or fumbling with any of those things, and it's really hard. And so what I have to do is just stop and breathe. I cannot move. Movement just triggers it. The more movement I have, the more the more he wants to move with me and the more anxious he gets. And so that's a situation where I just stop and I breathe, and it's amazing. It is so amazing how much of a difference that makes. And then I recognize the tension, the stress welling up in myself, and I'm, you know, and then that takes it diffuses it.
That's amazing. Yeah. Breathing. We'll come back to breathing.
Yeah.
But for right now, Kelley, I'd love to ask you to actually demonstrate a couple of the touches that you that you would recommend that somebody try. And I know that afterwards we're going to put your details, so your contact details in the show notes, so that people can contact you for more information. But let's have a go.
Okay, we can see this little guy right here, right?
Yeah.
So the basic, well, I'm going to do this first. The basic TTouch circle, there's several kinds of TTouches, but I'm just going to talk about the circle today. So the basic TTouch circle, if you can see this, that's in the screen, right?
Yeah.
Is starting at the 6 and going around all the way around the clock, past the 6 and to the 9. Okay. So I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit quickly. And so the basic TTouch that I use, and the first one that I usually teach people, is called the Clouded Leopard. There's lots of different touches, and they all have animal names, but this one is called the Clouded Leopard, and you're just using the pads of your fingers. And so the way you do this is you use your thumb as an anchor, and then you put your fingers together and you curl them slightly, and then you're just going to start at the 6 and go around the circle all the way around, and you're just pushing the skin in the circle. You're not sliding over the fur, you're pushing the skin. It might be a little more visible like that on my arm because you're pushing the skin around in a circle. Well, I have to start at the 6, don't I? And so it's very light. If you want to know what the pressure should feel like, this is not at all going deep. The pressure is about what you would feel if you rest your finger right here under your eye. And it's very, very light. Let me go back to him. So the way if I had a dog who was already, this is something that you're going to start now. And, you just have to do one touch. If your dog is not used to a lot of touch, then you can just, as your dog is walking by, you just reach down and do just the circle. And that might be all you do then. And you can do that a couple of times a day and start out like that. And then you can build up. You can connect the circles like this. And you can play around with how fast or how slow you want to go. Generally, about a 2-second circle is what you want to bring awareness to the dog, to kind of get their attention. So you can move around. Most of the time, most dogs are very comfortable in this area with being touched right off. And so that's where we kind of stop. there's a lot of listening that we do in TTouch. We want to see what they want and what they can do with us. We don't want to force anything on them. We don't want them to have to do anything to tell, to say no. We don't want them to have to resort to licking their lips or doing anything to tell us to stop. We just want to really watch and see if that's what they want. If they want to move away, they can move away. You had a question?
Yeah, I was just saying those touches are really small and really sort of slight. Is there any particular, you've said noticed on the shoulder area, but would it be, you could do these circles anywhere, on the legs, on the feet,
You can do
Okay.
the circles anywhere, but the starting point and where, if you're going to start now, if you're going to start now and you're going to work over the next few weeks up until the time when the fireworks start, then I would just try the shoulder area, and I would just do 1 or 2 touches. And if you need to do that as they're moving by, there's no problem with that. If your dog is resting and you want to try it here, and then you can just experiment with moving over the body wherever you feel. But if your dog turns around and looks at your hand or licks their lips, you might just stop and go back to the area that they were okay with. And if you start seeing relaxation responses, they stretch or they start blinking, or you see their respiration go down and things like that, then keep going, because it's very beneficial. So you can go all over their body. But for this purpose, it might be best to stick with the areas that they're enjoying, because we are trying to create that relaxation response and their association with this as something that you can use during this time, during the fireworks or during the noisy time. So you don't want to try to condition them to something that they're not comfortable with all at once, right?
Brilliant.
Okay. So that's the basic circular touch. And you can, if you want to try, a lot of dogs are sensitive around their feet. And if you want to try going down to their feet, then just do 1 touch and take your hand away and go back to something they like. And then maybe the next time you're touching them, you might do 2 little circles on their feet and then go back to their shoulder or wherever they're most comfortable. Does that make sense?
That's great. Yeah. Thank you, Kelley. So doing these touches now from your experience, Kelley, can we see your face?
I'm sorry.
There we go. From your experience, Kelley, or from case studies with TTouch, etc., how's this been used successfully for a lot of folks? I know I've heard of people very successfully using TTouch for all sorts of anxieties and phobias, etc. Do you have to be as a practitioner to be able to do this, or what is the best way to get in touch? To rather get in touch with you and talk it through, or what would you recommend if people have had no experience with TTouch before? What would you recommend?
If you're just trying to calm your dog and you just want to start building that resilience and building that calm condition, you really don't need to have any kind of prior experience with it. It's just a circle.
Yeah.
It's all about your intention to connect. It's just a circle. It's just do the circle. I've heard this in our workshops and our trainings for several years. Just do the circle, hold space for the dog to feel that connection with you, and for this to change, for there to be the possibility of a shift, and primarily calm yourself. And that's why, I think you can emotionally, you can do as great of work by doing the touches on yourself as you can doing them on the dog. And so, no, you don't need to have, there's some more tools that you can use, if you want to get educated on it, if you want to work with me, or you want to do a little bit of research in it, there's more tools that you can use with it and go with it, and more little different little tweaks that you can do
Okay, so you were saying, so Kelley, you were saying that, you know, you don't have to necessarily have any expertise or any experience in this. As you said, the intention behind it is what's really important, and just trying it out with your dog. It's really about spending that time with them, that those few moments, really being connected, really being present with them, and having the intention of touching them with a calm, beautiful energy that's going to hopefully help them. And at the same time, as you say, there's a whole technical aspect that's behind the scenes, is
Right.
affecting their nervous system in a positive way.
And of course, if you combine the two together, then you'd really have the potential for that magic.
That's brilliant. So thank you very much, Kelley.
Thank you.
So Mandie Danks, hi. Mandie,
Hi.
sorry you've had to wait a long time to come on and talk with you.
Right, all right. Lovely to listen to everybody. So
So much. But Mandie, a wonderful dog professional with really experienced, with a special interest and expertise in flower essences. Now, if you can start off by telling the audience what is the difference between flower essences and the kind of essential oils and botanicals and hydrosols, for instance, that Rachel was talking about.
absolutely. So a flower essence, when you really look at it, you wouldn't see under a microscope, for instance, any physical components of that plant, that crystal, that whatever it is that is made that essence. It's that energetic signature, if you like, of your plant, your crystal, your environment, that source energy that you're looking at, rather than having those sort of volatile components that an essential oil has. And say Rachel's very much your essential oils go-to person. Essences tend to be a little bit more subtle in the way they work. There will be some that are perhaps, we've all got that really good friend who tells you straight to the point and goes, really, now, come on, pull yourself together. And there are essences like that. But generally speaking, essences are much more gentle. They're more supportive. And so you can see it as them guiding your dog, your horse, yourself back on track again, and bringing that balance back to your emotional well-being. And they very much work on that emotional rather than a physical level that the essential oils will sometimes do. Essences are very much all about the emotional well-being and that emotional support for our dogs and ourselves as well.
So that's amazing, Mandie. And what strikes me about the flower essences is as you say, they're so subtle and so gentle, and yet can have a profound effect. And I know my introduction, and I think the same was with you, my introduction was Rescue Remedy, you know, right from when I had my babies teething and crying, etc., was out comes the Rescue Remedy. And it's kind of something that comes out at just about any event or any stressful anything. And it is, I mean, it's just, what is the Rescue Remedy? Why is it so special and why does it work?
So a Rescue Remedy is a combination of 5, and you'll see it called different names, from Crisis Remedy to Rescue Formula. And it's 5 of the batch flower remedies, and it is most people's introduction to the whole world of essences. And it contains probably 5 of the most commonly used ones. So in there you have clematis, which is a beautifully grounding remedy, and you'll see them called remedies and essences. It's exactly the same thing, and that's actually sort of fairly common. You'll see them going by both names. So we've got the clematis, and if we look at the plants, the clematis seeds, they go almost like a dandelion clump. They go all fluffy and they go off in the wind and they float off, and it brings you back to centre. And what you think, if you've had a shock, or if we're looking at fireworks, both for ourselves and for our animals, I have to say, is quite often you do go, oh my goodness, what's that? And you lose that focus and you're looking elsewhere. So clematis brings us back to centre. We've got impatience in there, which is when you're very quick to react to something. So if we look at our dogs who are sound sensitive, they don't necessarily, they're not processing what's going on around about them. It is a reaction rather than responding. So impatience helps slow down their thinking, helps them really assess the situation so that you're in that place of, do I need to suddenly jump out my bed and start barking and shouting or scrabbling away to go and hide? Or is there an easier way of dealing with this? We've then got rock crows in there, which is for that sense of sheer terror that a lot of animals will experience round about fireworks. And it brings them back to, again, that place of calm, brings them back to centre. And that combines with cherry pop, which is very much about staying in control. Because again, when fireworks or any sound that's a dog's reactive to is going off, they're not thinking clearly. It is going back to that natural, that instinct in them, rather than that clear assessment. So the essences, the remedies that are in there sort of work together to best support our dogs. And again, and ourselves, because as Rachel said as well, we definitely feed into our animal stress and their reactions, and how they respond feeds into ours as well. And by helping to be aware of what's going on with us, then we can best support our animals as well, best support our dogs. So it's a lovely place to start if you are starting to look at essences to support your dog. Rescue crisis remedy is one of the best places to start, and then you can really get down to the details from there.
So, and would you say rescue is probably the best remedy then for that time, for fireworks? Would you only give it when, again, is it one that we could use leading up to the event, if we're starting a protocol now, or would there be something else that you would do leading up to the event, for instance?
So really it's about looking at what's going on for your dog, and rescue remedy is a really good one to have in your toolkit. As you say, I've got it in all my bags, I've got it in my car. It is fantastic in that emergency situation. And it's definitely, if you're only going to get one, rescue remedy is your go-to one. But where each dog, they're an individual, and they're very much got their own personalities, they've got their own experience, they've got their own history. And so we need to look and take that into account. So two of the ones that I will use quite often for sound sensitivity will be Aspen and Mimulus from the batch range again. Aspen is very much when a dog, they're worried about something, but they don't know what it is. So if we look at it from our point of view, it's when we get that knot in our chest and that anxiety, but you can't place where it's coming from. If somebody asks you what's going on, you're like, I'm just not quite sure. And it's very similar for our dogs. Mimulus is when you know full well that it's that bang that you're scared of. It's that smell of the sulphur in the air. There's a very clear cause. But it's really important to look at it from the dog's point of view rather than our perception. Because again, we can tell ourselves all sorts of different stories about what's actually going on, but it always comes back to what's going on for the dog. And so you can mix together up to 7 of the batch remedies. And as I work across a lot of different ranges, so it depends what's available to you and what resonates with you as well, what resonates with your dog. And that element of self-selection is important as well. Because again, sometimes you'll think that is exactly, you read the book and you'll say that's exactly the right remedy, the right essence to offer. And the dog will go, no, it's not. And then they'll choose something completely different. But it goes back to their experiences. Yeah. So another one to think about often is honeysuckle, which is about previous experiences. And when we have got those patterns of behaviour that you are almost stuck in. So when maybe you've got a rescue dog, they've had a bad experience in the past. My own boy, Flynn, he had a few fireworks seasons ago. We got to that point in the evening where about 1 o'clock in the morning, we thought, we're good, everything's fine. He went out for his last bedtime toilet and somebody let a firework over the house. And one of these really loud ones. And of course, he got a terrible fright. I got a terrible fright. And it had that impact. So then we used honeysuckle to help release that trauma, that stress. And I have to say, I took it as well, so I could then best support him. So it's really about looking at the whole picture and what is going on for your dog at that round about this season. Have they got past experience? Have they got that history that's going to impact them? And then building it up from there. So by all means, you can start now by mixing up a blend and taking it forward, and then having your rescue remedy there as a backup, which you can use alongside. And then, say, as Rachel was saying before, then using your support system, your essences then to help calm at the other side of it, to release that energy, that stress out of their system.
Yeah, and I love that, and also releasing afterwards, as you say, you know, that the body's still carrying that stress, that cortisol is still in the body, and as we know, it can take a week, even longer, to actually reduce those cortisol levels. So continuing to support our dogs after as well is just so important.
Yeah, and it's very important also to look at what else is going on in their environment at that time as well, because we often focus on those few nights where the fireworks are at their absolute peak, without perhaps thinking about, well, afterwards our dogs need to decompress and have that time. So you might want to change the routine, their habits. They need those nice, safe, sniffy walks where they can just be a dog and let that do whatever they need to get that energy out. And you've got the essence there to support them through that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And just a couple of things you've said there that we haven't really brought up, which was so important to try for different types of dogs, is things like what does your dog need? Does your dog need a lot of movement to release that stress? So do they need to be going on walks before? So for instance, what I used to do, or I still do, is on the morning of the 31st particularly, I go for a really long up in the mountains kind of walk with my dogs, so they're really exhausted after that. Come home, we do a lot of sniffing work. I give them a really big chew to chew that's going to take a lot of energy, so that they're really in a restful state when that happens. But I think you also mentioned something which is so important, Mandie, is that we mustn't suddenly change a routine. I've been doing this for a couple of weeks moving up to the event, because if you suddenly do it on the day, the dog's are also going to think something's going on here. You know,
absolutely.
Why is my routine so...
Yeah, my mum's suddenly gone mad and she's changing everything. And my boy thinks that quite often about me. I have to say, I get that look like, well, what are you doing now? But it is about best preparing our dogs and ourselves, so we are in the best place we can possibly be to support them. And recognizing that what does trigger us, and it's very easy to get sucked into that place of, oh my goodness, my dog's going to be worried and it's going to be awful and it's going to be terrible, and you immediately start feeding that to your dog, and they're going, well, what's awful? Oh my goodness. And so you bounce off each other. So as I was saying earlier on, being aware of your breathing, being aware of your emotional state, and doing what you need to. So that might be, say, going through a meditation, going over a nice bath, having an extra big glass, whatever it is, but you know what you need to do to be able to best support your dog, and get those protocols in place beforehand, so it's not that sudden shock to the system.
Yeah, I love that. So being able to say, all right, I've got a plan, I've got some tools, I've got a plan, I know what to do. So when you feel yourself sort of your breathing getting out of sink and you can feel your tension coming up, like, oh, this is coming and my dog's already nervous, for you to actually just take a step back, take a deep breath and say, okay, I know what to do here. We've been rehearsing this for the last couple of weeks. I've got this.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite often the essences that our dogs will choose or our dogs need are quite often the ones that benefit us as well. So it might be that aspen coming through where there is that underlying tension, that underlying anxiety. Well, we're carrying that too, and we need to let that go. That mimulus coming in where your dog knows that they're frightened about whatever, that those sounds, those noises, the smell that's in the air, because our dogs are such sensitive beings, that it isn't just that one aspect. It will be the sound, it will be the vibrations that are coming through the ground up through their paws, it will be what's coming into their nose. So it's a whole big picture. And often that mimulus there, that's where you will help release that fear, or certainly help them face it in a better way. We often benefit from as well when our dog's tuned, because we know we're frightened about how our dog's going to react on this occasion. And is it going to be as bad as last time, or is it going to be worse? And we do tell ourselves some really big stories. And obviously, we have that past history to base them on, but it's sometimes we just need to change the story on ourselves as well.
Yeah, so I think a definite theme that's gone through here tonight is that we're in this together. It's not just a thing about helping our dogs, it's about we're in this together, we're supporting each other, and really just being aware of that. Yeah,
we're very much partnership, and
absolutely,
it is supporting each other to get through it in the best way we can.
Yeah, love that. Anybody else got any questions or comments that they would like to ask Rachel, or anything to add in, Rachel?
So I just had a memory of that before we kind of deleted the file with Bridget and me, when she was really reactive to fireworks, and I used to get really stuck in trying to help her, and I used to get frustrated. And one day or one evening I thought, I'm going to hoover, and I'm not really a domesticated person, especially hoovering is not my thing, but for some reason I decided to hoover, and it was, I guess it's because I broke state, as in I wasn't holding, we weren't holding each other in that stress. I was just sort of was like, okay, I'm going to go and do something different. And she was and she didn't even like the hoover. I mean, I wasn't hoovering near her, but I was doing something different. I had an activity, and it was almost like she was like, oh, phew. It's not my case. So sometimes just doing something different, what you've always done, can shift it a little bit. And plus you get a clean house as well as
Sometimes we put so much attention onto helping our animals, our dogs, through these things, that sometimes we do need that diversion, and doing something that is actually different, that takes our mind and takes our focus, so that we can give our dogs a bit of peace to come through and ask for that support if they need it.
I think that is so true. And again, it's coming back to getting that balance between us is how we when we're supporting our dogs, let's say that they are feeling very nervous and anxious, it's the words we use, it's the tone of voice that we use. It's not, yes, I know you're feeling anxious, I know you're feeling anxious, I know I'm doing my best, if we just kind of, it's okay, I've got this. And sometimes it's not okay, sometimes telling our dogs, I get you, it's really crap, it's actually really crap for you right now, I get that, but without dramatizing it, and just trying to bring in that, as you say, oh God, I'm going to go vacuum or do something else, something different, and just take your attention and your focus off the fireworks itself, or off the anxiety itself, and place your focus somewhere else on how much you love your dog, or how special it is to be able to spend this evening with her. Something that I did, for instance, which I think really helped this last year, I sat in my office, as I said, with my dogs. Had my the music going, really quiet music that I'd taken down from the internet somewhere. It was sort of meditation kind of music, and I decided to write a gratitude journal for all the things that had happened in my life during that year, because being the last day of the year. So
Perfect.
I sat at my computer and I typed some things out and I looked at old photographs, and straight away my whole, I think my whole energy changed, because I was really grateful and I felt good. And I think that just added to the whole thing. So just remembering that where our energy, our emotion, our intentions are can just be so powerful as well.
So one of the experiences that I've had is because my other dog, Gracie, was very sound sensitive, and she had been shot, and so that she was very afraid of loud noises. And Merle is not sound sensitive, but by being around her, he started to I noticed that he started to notice it. But what he would do is when the noise would happen, he would look at me. And I just learned to shrug my shoulders and keep, if Gracie was in the house, or Gracie, because I could be out with him during this, or even if she was off sleeping somewhere, once she lost most of this happened after she lost her hearing. And so I wasn't that worried about her anymore. She could feel it if it was really, a bad thunderstorm or something like that, then she could feel it. But most of the time it was after that. And so he and I would be somewhere else and he would look at me, and it was just amazing to me. I would just shrug my shoulders or just say, okay, come on, buddy, let's go do this. And he just completely would drop it. But if I know at that moment, if I had any stress at all, if it had even crossed my mind, or so, any kind of stress or moment or freezing or anything like that, he could have easily taken that and run with it. And it's yeah. So
it's powerful stuff, as you say, and I think it goes back to individual dogs. Some dogs really would benefit from just sitting on your lap if you are feeling relaxed as well, sitting on your lap and just having that calm energy and sort of stroking them and being with them. And other dogs, if they need that movement, and like you say, rather just say, it's okay, buddy, I'll just sit here and be quiet for you, because I can see you need somebody to be that grounding for you right now. So really comes back to the individual, what they need. And just because we start working on that now, we can start looking at these things. What does my individual dog need? What is best for them in the situation? Yeah. Awesome. So ladies, this has been an incredible talk. We didn't get to everything we wanted to do tonight. I know that there was other things. What I would love to do is just do a last round, go around and ask everybody for their one final tip that they would give, or the most important thing that they would like people to take away from tonight. And we will do that now quickly. And if you have any other points, of course, we can also add that into the show notes, any other ideas for people. I'll also add some links in there to everybody, to Rachel, Kelley, and Mandie's websites, to their Facebook pages, how you can get in contact with them. If you, I know, Rachel, you've got some awesome products that are specifically for, that you've designed specifically or put together specifically for fireworks. So we'll link that as well. You can get in touch with all of these wonderful women to find out more, but you can also just ask your questions in the comments below, and we will come in there and answer them over the next couple of days, weeks, whatever you can. We'll try and be there for you and answer you. So to wrap it up, Rachel, what would you love people to take away from this?
That our dogs are here to help us too, not just us to help them. So we're in this together. Breathe. And the aromatics don't just work with our dogs, they work with us too. So sometimes just you sitting with an oil rather than offering it to your dog, the shift can happen.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you, Rachel.
No worries.
Kelley?
I would say that I think that just start putting together some pieces. Start experimenting with these things that we've presented today and anything else that you have in mind, and see what your dog responds the best to, and put together, a few things that you think that that you're noticing that are really helping them, and just start somewhere and just start to find a combination that works for them, and that will that will be cumulative, and it will help. It will help. Your dog may not sail through the fireworks in 3 weeks from now, but they definitely will have a better experience, and in the long term, it will get better.
Brilliant. Thank you. Awesome, Kelley. Thank you. Mandie.
I say, make sure you have a plan, a way of supporting your dog, yourself, but be really flexible with that plan. Don't think just because I've said that this is what we're going to do, that's what's going to happen. And don't assume that just because your dog's showing a particular behaviour that it's coming from the place you think it is. Take that time to really listen to what your dog's showing you, to what they're saying, and be open to those experiences that they're having, and for something surprising sometimes to come up with it. But definitely have a plan there.
Absolutely. Plan. Yeah. Yeah, so because it is, I mean, the analogy that came straight to mind was, I don't know why, was when you do these fire drills at school. Remember there's fire drills and you had to stand up, but everybody eventually, by the time you got to grade 4 or whatever you did in your school, you knew exactly where to go and what to do, you know. So it takes the stress out of the situation if you know what to do and you have a plan. So great advice. I think we should all have a plan. And I know, ladies, that we've spoken about all sorts of different names of different oils or essences or TTouches, for instance, which may be very new to you and you know nothing about it. Please get in touch with these ladies. They are experts in their field. They will be able to help you to select the correct ones, or a variety that they can help. I know you even do, Mandie, not sure if you do it, but I know Rachel does distance consultations, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Mandie, you do too?
Do the same, yes.
Brilliant. So even though if you're stuck down in lockdown or whatever, or you in a foreign part of the world, we can help you over the internet and online as well. So we don't have to be there with you. So brilliant. Thank you again, ladies. It's been an awesome discussion. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you.
I wish you all a very festive season with you and your families. And we'll see you in the new year.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. It does. So Kelley, thank you. So now, what about the body wrap? I know that TTouch uses something called a body wrap. Could you explain to us what that is and how it's used and what it helps the dog? How it helps the dog?
So we use body wraps to help the dog have an awareness of certain parts of the body where they wouldn't necessarily. I mentioned proprioception before, and so it brings awareness to the area. It can kind of like, once you know you're holding tension somewhere, and you can, you know, when you put a body wrap on, you can tell it's there, and it helps you to release it. It also gives some sense of security, and it helps the dog contain themselves and calm themselves. It kind of gives them a closeness.
Kind of like a wrapped in a blanket,
like
kind
a hug.
of feeling. A hug.
Kind of like a hug. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we can use them on different parts of the body. And there's 2 wraps that I want to show you. And the one is the body. It's called a half wrap. And so we're using an ACE bandage we like these colored bandages in TTouch, because again, you know, we as humans, when we see an ACE bandage, we might think that somebody's sick, and that's not what this is about. And so the way you do a half wrap is you would open this out. It's hard to show it on the screen, I'm not sure. And you go to the middle. You go to the middle of I'm on the screen here, so that's a little difficult. So you go to the middle of the bandage and then put it across the chest like this, and then cross it over the back. So you're going to have it down here on the chest, not around the neck. And then you cross it over the back and go under the belly with both pieces and cross again. and then you come up and fasten it. If you have one that has Velcro, you can fasten it with the Velcro, or you can use one of these baby pins to put the fastener on. And so you can, the way to start out with this is to, introduce it to the dog, fold it up like this with a treat on it, so that they can take it from the treat. And then you might take the whole thing and just lay it across their back. And you would do this a few days in a row. The first day you just let them sniff it, and the second day you might put it over their back, and then the third day you might try, putting it like this. And you want to try to avoid your arm going in front of their face. So you just want to put it on and just maybe lay it across like that, and then eventually work up. And if you have a dog that has no problem with it and they're not trying to walk away, you can go ahead and do the whole process at one time. But you're going to just, again, it's in the middle of the chest, and then you just cross on the back and cross under the belly, and then come back up and fasten. And you can leave that on for maybe 10 or 15 minutes each time you do it. It's better to take it off before you notice that it's kind of bothersome, because we're just putting little bits of information into the nervous system about calmness. And so just a little bit at a time. And then, I'm sorry. Sorry.
So I just wanted to reiterate there that it's really baby steps that you want to acclimate your dog to this. It's not a case of just getting a bandage and sticking it on your dog.
Right.
Really go listen again. It's about listening to your dog and taking it at their pace, what they're comfortable with. And Kelley, for those people who've never heard of these ACE bandages, it's just an elasticated medical bandage. What is it?
It's just an elastic. It's an elastic. It's not the self-adhesive ones. It's the ones that have elastic in them, and they either have this piece of Velcro on the end, or if they don't have the Velcro on the end, then you just use a baby safety diaper pin.
Okay, got it.
I'm not sure what they're called in Europe, but here we call them safety pins.
Yeah, safety pins.
And so you just use that to fasten it. You don't ever want to fasten it right on their spine or right on the midline of the body. You want it to be off of the bone. So okay. Where, even if you can also tie a knot, which I'll do when I show you the next one. But you don't want to put that pressure right in there. And it should fit, it shouldn't be sagging anywhere. It should be where you can tell it's there, but not tight enough to cut off any kind of blood flow. You want to be, you don't want to, I have to pull it out a little to get my finger. You don't want it loose like this. And the bandages some of these, if you get the ones that have the printed, well, I don't know if you can see that's printed on there. Mm-hmm. These are the most long-lasting ones, and the other ones tend to curl up, and then they kind of get all out of the elastic, breaks down in them really quickly. But these will last a while, and they'll stay flat instead of twirled up like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything I left out there?
Great. So what was the other wrap that you wanted to show us?
So this is a very basic wrap, and most dogs will accept that wrap. It's not unlike having a harness on, and so many dogs are used to that. But I wanted to show the head wrap because it is particularly helpful for a dog with noise sensitivity. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the head wrap crosses some of the acupressure points in the head. And it also, it goes across both hemispheres of the brain. And so it kind of gets both sides of the brain working together so that communication is there. And so you don't get stuck in one thing or the other. So it helps balance them more. And it also, it came from, TTouch has a thing that another tool that they call a thinking cap. And it's like a little cap that comes across the head with holes for the ears. And they have seen a lot of good results with noise sensitivity using the thinking cap. But we're going off of that same kind of idea, but just using something that's more easily easy to get, easily accessible. So again, you're gonna have this one is small. My dog, I use more like a 2-inch. This is a 2-inch, and this is a 1-inch. For a larger dog doing the full body, like that half wrap, I would use like a 4-inch wrap. And for a medium-sized dog, like I did this is a 2-inch wrap on this dog. This is a small dog. But this dog doesn't have a lot of room between his eyes and his ears right here. So I'm going to use this 1-inch for a head wrap. But most of the time a 2-inch, unless you have a small dog, is a good size to use. So again, you're going to grab it in half. And my Velcro wants to keep sticking to everything. And you're going to try to, I don't want to go in front of their face if I don't have to. So you're going to put him up here. Let's see if I can hold him up. Whoops. Okay, so we're going to put the wrap right across the forehead. This is called a forehead wrap. And then you're going to go under the chin and cross it and just go back up around the neck. And again, you don't want this to be too tight. And in this case, I would probably just pin this, because the Velcro, I would just put a pin through this. And then I might just tie this like in an overhand knot, in a bow, like I'm tying my shoestrings, right? To get it so it's not dangling down here and distracted.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be tight. I basically want to just get the extra fabric out of the way of the dog, right? And I might even can stick these Velcro things together now to stay out of. So you can see that you're going.
He looks like he's going to do some sport.
Right. And this one is there's several different head wraps that we use, but this one is the most dogs will tolerate this one pretty easily. They're used to having the collar around their neck. It's not, it's kind of back on their jaw, so it's not interfering with their mouth. And you definitely want it to be loose enough where they can do all of the things that they're used to doing, and you don't want it to go down in their eyes. Mm-hmm. And again, if I put a head wrap, my dog can be reactive, which is another reason when we use head wraps. And when I put a head wrap on my dog, he almost goes into a trance.
Oh, wow.
Almost immediately. He definitely would just you can tell that it's gotten his attention. He's processing. And that's exactly what we want, even if we just see little moments of that. And you don't have to leave this on long. It's just dripping into the nervous system, little pieces of sensory information over a period of time is what we're shooting for. But you may find that if you do this a few times heading up, that this is something that you would want to do. And you don't want to leave it on for more than 15 or 20 minutes. I would say a head wrap may be no longer than 10 minutes, and just do it more often. And then don't wait until they're trying to get it off or they're more excitable or something to take it off. You want to take it. I said that earlier, and then on the day of the noise, you can, if you see that it's helping, you don't have to take it off immediately. But still watch it so that you can take it off before it becomes something that's irritating them.
So Kelley, just two questions that jumped out at me there. When we're preparing our dogs in the lead up to this and we're getting them acclimated to the bandages, would there be a specific time? Would you do it when they're already feeling pretty relaxed, sort of after a walk? Are they ready to lie down, or would you do it just, I don't know, as part of your activity even before you go for a walk? When would you use it? When would be a good time to try it out?
In general, I wouldn't, if a dog is okay with me touching them and they're not kind of touch sensitive, then I don't have a problem putting a wrap on a dog that's already pretty. It's one of the things that can really bring them down. So I wouldn't do it if the dog, it's one thing if the dog is really already anxious. It's another thing if the dog is anxious and doesn't want to be touched, or approached. And so if the dog is okay with being approached, then I wouldn't hesitate, because it definitely can have a calming effect. But if the dog doesn't like touch, then I don't think I wouldn't do it in that moment. I would wait to introduce it to them. So again, it depends on the dog, and you can know, but you don't want to build you don't want to poison it. So you want to baby step that. So I would say that the best time to try it the first time would be when they're calm and then they're used to what it feels like. Right. But it's all, you also have the non-habitual, or the novelty of, I have seen dogs who, in my case studies, I'm working with dogs who they've never met me before, and I show up at their house and they're very anxious, and I put a wrap on them right away, and I've seen that go to to 25% in an instant.
So it can have
definitely have a
instantaneous result. Brilliant. Awesome. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask you, Kelley, was, I've heard of a body wrap, and I'm sure most of people have heard of body wraps. Sorry, no, not a body wraps, a thunder shirt, which is similar. I'm guessing it has the similar effect to the bandages you've just showed us, which is a sort of a little jacket that the dogs put on. Could you tell us a bit about this? Would you recommend it, or tell us a bit about it?
Sure. I mean, a lot of people have them. I'm glad that we're going to talk about this, because a lot of people have tried them and found that, they wait until the day of the fireworks, and the fireworks start, and they put that on there, and it doesn't help, and they just say, that doesn't help, I need to find something else. And there are dogs that it will work instantly for, just like I talked about the wrap working instantly. And so the wrap and the thunder shirt are very similar to each other, and sure, you can try either one. The thunder shirt is a lot more substantial. It covers a lot more of the body, which can be great for some dogs. The thing that's beneficial about the wrap is you can use it on different parts of the body rather than just one part. We use it for other, we use it to bring awareness to the feet and to do different things. And so either way, but the key is to use it before, if you want, except for that occasional dog. Now, and I talked a minute ago about my case studies who, the dogs were anxious, and I showed up and I put the wrap on, but that was not nearly as stressful situation as a dog who is in a panic mode about fireworks. And so I wouldn't expect it to, I might expect it to help a little in that situation sometimes, but as a general rule. And the other thing about the thunder shirt is it can be hard you have to really have a lot of body contact to get it on and getting it off. And if they're noise sensitive, that Velcro can be tricky. And so I think that the thunder shirt needs a lot more acclimating and conditioning than a wrap would, just because it's harder to get on and it's harder to get off and it's noisy. But I have one, and I have seen results from it with my dog, and so we use both.
Okay. So it's just I know it's a common thing that people sort of said, try a thunder shirt, but like you said, it's not for every dog. They can be really, really beneficial. And personally, I would think that if you have a super sensitive, touch sensitive dog, that it may not be the best thing to just go ahead and just put on a whole thunder shirt on them. Awesome. So thank you so much for that, Kelley. That was great information.
Thank you.
And I know that the folks will probably get in touch with you or ask some more questions about it. But if not, it's, give it a try.
Questions. I'm ready.
That's fabulous. Okay. Thank you so much, Kelley. That was awesome. So Mandie, another thing that I've seen that you do, which I'm really fascinated by, and I've tried it myself and I absolutely love it, is the way that you combine EFT with your flower essences. So could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Absolutely. So it's something I started doing myself. So EFT emotional freedom technique is working on different pressure points on the upper half of the body. Tends to be sort of your collarbone point and round about your head and face. And I started very much from my own personal practice when I was using my essences, when I was picking my essences for a particular time, if I was feeling a bit anxious, stressy, whatever was going on. And I started to either pop a few onto my fingers as I was tapping round, and it really seemed to enhance both aspects, both modalities. But one of the other lovely things with the flower essences is you can, because they're an energetic modality, you don't actually have to have that energy there at the time. And this is where it does get a bit odd sometimes. But you can use that intention. We've talked quite a bit about intentions this evening, and you can so say we go back to Aspen, a really common one. So we've got that side where it's supporting unknown fears. It's helping you release them. It's helping you face them, and you've got that signature, that message coming through. So as you're using your EFT, so you start perhaps with some heart-centered breathing, and it's always a lovely place to start. So for that, and you can hold your dog in your intentions with this as well. You put your dominant hand onto your chest, onto your heart center, the other one over the top. Feel your energy drop down, and you can immediately feel, and you take a few deep breaths there. And we're going to, as we sat there, we start to call to our mind's eye that aspen flower. So you've got your aspen tree, they're very shimmery. They reflect the light, they always seem to be moving. And the catkin that makes the essence, they quiver in the wind. So if you're feeling that anxious way, and our dogs as well, they get that shake in your muscles, and there's always movement there. And as you bring that into your mind, then that's sort of where we're going to go with it. And it's very much about holding that intention and then letting flow what comes in. So if you want to do it, we could do a little round with it if you would like.
I'd love to.
We're in position.
We're waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to put dominant hand on, other hand over the top. I'm just going to take a few deep breaths, just 2 or 3 in your own time. You close your eyes, you can have them open. And as you're doing it, you're feeling all that stress, all those anxieties from the day just flowing away, dropping your shoulders down. I'll do another one. And then we're going to do one more. And then we're going to go into a little bit of tapping. So we're going to come up and we're going to tap round our face to begin with. So just to take you through quickly, we start with our eyebrow point, and we're not poking, we're not, just a gentle tap, just in at the corner of your nose on your eyebrow. It's just a few taps, and then go round to the outside of the eye, follow your eye socket round with here. And then we come to the, just follow your eye socket again, round onto the middle of the eye. And we're going to come under our nose. And this is a really lovely point, especially with dogs and horses as well. They carry so much tension in us. Kelley will some quite use that for TTouch as well. And then we come under our chin to that dimple. You there. And then we're going to come down to our collarbone. So we'll find our collarbones. And then we're going to drop down about an inch, and you'll find a couple of wee hollows, wee divot. And sometimes this can be a little bit tender. It's sometimes called the sore spots. And we tap on there, or you can tap all the way along your collarbones, or you can do a one-handed tap here. So it's whatever feels right. And it's quite often you'll find yourself, if you are feeling a bit of stress tapping there. And then from here we go under our arm. So get a bit of here, but a hand width down, and again you'll find a wee sort of hollow there that could be a little bit tender, so this one you be careful with.
I can't see where you are.
Sorry?
Where are you right now? Like right?
Oh, so let me go. So we've got our hands, a hand's width, so down almost like a bra strap there.
Okay.
If you choose to wear one, we're in there. And so you'll find anywhere along there. Again, you've got lots of lovely acupressure points down here. And then from here we come up to our crown, and we're coming all around the top of the head. So that's just a wee show around where we're going to go. And this time I'm going to say some words. So with EFT, it's a combination between the tapping and the language you use. So if we're working with our clients, we will use the language that comes up for that person. When we're using an essence, we're using the message of that flower. So if we come up to this eyebrow again, we gently tap. And remember to breathe as we go around. So just repeat after me. If something doesn't resonate, you come in with your own, whatever pops into your head. So this worry, then we're going to come round to the outside of the eye. This unknown fear. Under the eye. Anxiety that I'm feeling. Under the nose. I can feel it in my chest, or wherever it is you happen to hold it. Under the chin. Just shaking and shivering. I'm going to come down to these collarbones. So either you can do it one-handed, two-handed, whatever feels right. I'm choosing to release it. Let it go. Come under that arm, releasing and transforming. I'm going to come up to the top of the head, releasing, transforming, relaxing, letting go of any anxiety. And then we're going to gradually come to a stop and come back to the centre. A deep breath.
Oh, that is so relaxing.
As you immediately go, oh.
Especially
And one of the
this.
things I'll do is I will hold that and extend that intention out to the dogs as well. So my boy will quite often, he's downstairs at the minute, but usually when I'm doing an EFT session, you can pretty much guarantee he comes into the room and you'll hear this big
Oh, wow.
So if you are in that place, if your dog's very anxious, if they're stressed, if they're in that high state of arousal, by tapping around those points yourself and holding that relaxed state and extending it out to them, you can help to drop their arousal levels down as well. And I say it's very much about that inviting them into the process and holding that clear intention of calm. And as you go around, you can just say calmness, calm energy, and feeling settled. Or whatever words come into your mind, especially when you are working with your dog, there will be words that will pop in, and you might not necessarily, all right, okay, I don't know where that's come from, but go with it, you go with the flow. It's a fascinating way to work, and it's a really nice way to work with the essences and to extend that
That's
energy.
amazing, yeah. And I'm just thinking how powerful that is, as you say. I mean, if your dog really does get into a state where it's pacing and panicking, etc., and in the moment it doesn't feel like any touch or settling, as you say, just using that on yourself, in their around.
That's been the theme for today.
Yeah,
that's been the theme for today.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, and as you're saying, Kelley, earlier on about if your dog doesn't want that touch, doing the TTouches, the Tellington touch on yourself,
Yep.
but extending it out to your dog and holding that intention. So it is, and all the techniques we've taught, all modalities we've talked about today work so powerfully together as well as on their own. And so you can drop in between all of them. So
well, that's exactly what I did, Mandie. I mean, that's exactly how I got the results that I got last year, was doing exactly that. You know, setting aside time each day, having a plan, setting aside time each day to have that quiet time with my dogs, working on a lot more sort of nose work, scent work kind of activities in those weeks, so that they're really getting into their heads, and doing a lot of spending time just being with my dogs, doing a bit of TTouch, working with the oils, working with the flower essences, for myself and them, and just bringing that all together, because it's just so powerful. Yeah, amazing.
Fabulous. We're very lucky to have those modalities on offer to us, and being able to share them with our dogs. It is so powerful.
Yeah. So I hope this has been exciting for all of you who don't know about these modalities. I hope you've had some inspiration to try them. Give it a go, see what they're all about. Start with something that really resonates with you, and give one of these lovely ladies, contact them and ask them some questions and get started on it, because it's really awesome stuff. So thank you again. It was always lovely to see you, Mandie, and I enjoy your I can't remember how often you do your tapping sessions in your Facebook group.
It's usually once a week. We've had a bit of a break, but it will be back in the next couple of days. But there's lots of videos there, and there's also Tap Into Calm group, which I'll give you the link for as well,
Yeah,
which
so
is
we'll put that in
videos,
as well.
and there's a few meditations in there as well.
Fabulous.